to the letter, this—
Sorry, we don't serve the general public.
Wait! We're at the—
Well then, you must be a couple of wandering outlanders that snuck into the nation.
Are our clothes really so— what Paimon means to say is—
The Yashiro Commission's seal. This must be from Mr. Toma. It seems there's more to you than meets the eye. In which case, welcome to the Komore Tea House, a safe haven for the Yashiro Commission.
Well, that sounds more like it. Well, now that we're here, where's— Paimon doesn't see him anywhere. Do you think—
Who forgot their promise? I was beginning to think you'd forgotten to—
What? Is that dog talking to us?
Relax, no need to look so surprised. I take it this is the first time you've seen me in this form? Huh. So you didn't see anything like this?
Now that you mention it, this does suddenly seem less out of the ordinary.
Alright, I've had my fun.
Hey! You're this close to getting an ugly nickname!
Well, I've had some time to kill, given that I've been waiting here so I came up with this little fun greeting for when you— But in all seriousness, I would like to apologize about that little test. It helped us determine whether or not to bring you before Miss Kamisato.
Don't think that Paimon's gonna—
Sorry, did I overdo it? My apologies. Let me just say this. Naturally, this is due to your unwavering and resolute determination. A long time ago, we had a friend who was much the same. But when the lightning struck... so you've heard of his story. His light still burns all the more brightly. Yes, of course. I will bring you to the Kamisato residence, but before that, there is one other place I was hoping you—
Oh? Where?
I would like you to come with me to the statue of the omnipresent god. It's still under construction now, but you can already see it from—
This area sure feels gloomy. People probably don't come here often, do they? Huh? Are Paimon's eyes playing tricks? Or—
visions.
Visions? You mean all the visions that are collected from the Vision Hunt Decree are put into this statue?
So you've already heard of the Vision Hunt Decree. Before I try to explain, I should perhaps remind you first that Mondstadt is the city of— As for Inazuma, it's known as the nation— The Raiden Shogun is both the nation's most powerful ruler and its deity. The eternity in question is her endless and unchanging will to— As such, she relies on the Tri-Commission to regulate the nation's affairs and the Sakoku Decree to limit the people's movement. The Shogun wishes to keep Inazuma in stasis, allowing the stream of time to flow—
Seems like every god has their own will.
Of course, this is my own limited understanding. As for the reason behind— Perhaps the Shogun believes that visions grant people the power to change, and that her eternity doesn't allow— Whatever the case, the fact is that the Raiden Shogun has dispatched the Tenryou Commission to scour the— And this statue of the omnipresent god can be seen—
But if that's the case, wouldn't you say that the—
Only outlanders such as yourselves would ever dare speak out, and yet, I agree. The Vision Hunt Decree is something that simply should not exist.
Huh? Hey, are you okay? You look—
Sound? What sound? I didn't hear—
Yeah, you touched the statue, and then—
Aspirations? That would seem— Have you heard it before? That when a person's ambition reaches a certain strength, the gods look upon— That is where visions come from. In other words, a person's vision represents their ambition. So if what you just said is true, then the ambitions of these people are stronger than I imagined. Alright, time for the next stop on our tour of Narukami Island, the Kamisato residence.
kind of place where the big shots of Inazuma live, huh? Paimon kinda expected it to be...
Welcome at last to the Kamisato residence, honored guests.
Is this the Shirazage Himegimi you keep going on? Oh, behind the screen?
Yes. As the daughter of the Yashiro Commission, this is how Miss Kamisato... Consider it a time-honored tradition within the Yashiro Commission. Forgive me if this is an
Makes sense. She's a super important person.
Please forgive my lack of courtesy for receiving you in this fashion. Especially following, I have awaited your arrival with great anticipation. And Toma is at present in Inazuma, in the name of the Vision Hunt Decree. Though the Yashiro Commission serves the Shogun, it is the people with whom we A commission's power rises and falls with the trust of their people. Thus, we cannot remain indifferent. Traveler, lend us your power, and we can... Oh...
See, milady, it's just like I said. This will take...
No, please! Wait! Please, don't go! I will introduce you to the Raiden Shogun on one condition.
What are your wishes?
They pertain to 3 whose visions were taken from them. Perhaps once you've...
A warrior who guards a village, a former samurai who helped carry out the Vision Hunt Decree, and a swordmaster determined to become the best in the world.
Correct. Please do all you can to help them.
I'm sure you'll do great.
Let's see. Where's the person Ayaka told us about?
Why are you doing this? Why leave all of a sudden, after all these years?
Precisely. It's much too sudden. We've had no time. The children are desperate for you to take them out to play. Please, we urge you to
That must be the guy Ayaka told us about. Let's go over and see.
Ah, you must also be here to try and... Tejima has protected this place ever since he arrived here 30 years, keeping out the treasure hoarders, fending off any monsters that draw near, resolving quarrels between the villagers. But now, all of a sudden, he says he plans to leave us. We will gladly apologize if that's the case. Well...
If you want my opinion, something to do with... It's clear that Tejima had done nothing wrong, and still they confiscated his vision. After that, I can't claim to fully understand it, but I could tell that he'd lost something very important to him. He went... Truth be told, we aren't sure whether trying to keep him here is...
Seems like he's a well-respected... You must be Tejima. So what's made you want to up and leave?
Me? It's not a question of why I want to leave, but a question of... True. But that's not why I chose to stay. And what made me want to come here 30 years ago? And why? I don't have answers to those questions, because I can't remember anymore. In the past, I knew I wanted to stay here. But whatever resolve I had then...
Okay. Well, in that case, if we help you rediscover the reason... But if you can't... Oh! Maybe if you just try...
Oh, that reminds me. Last time I brought Tejima some fruit.
I keep a diary?
Oh, yes, you do. And what's more, I remember...
Perfect! So if we want to keep Tejima from leaving, we just need to find his diary.
If you don't mind, we will leave you to find the diary.
This looks like Teijima's diary, all right. Let's see what we... Today, the villagers and I got together to cook dry braised salted fish. I messed up and burned mine a little. So today, I helped rescue a kid who had fallen in the water. After I pulled him out, he told me that his best friend Bamboo was still in the... I went kite flying today. The string broke, so I chased after it as fast as I could. I soon realized that, seems like your average dad, huh? I went to pray at the shrine again today and stayed there a while. The Omamori you gave me has faded a little, but it is still... Now that's the kind of info we're... So this is the Omamori Teijima wrote about. Interesting. Looking at the color and the design, Paimon would have thought... But anyway, if he had this with him all the time, there's a chance... that Teijima... The soil looks like it's been disturbed. Maybe Teijima buried something precious. Must be something pretty amazing if it made him stick around for... It looks like a letter. The paper's gone yellow. Konda Village. Sounds so familiar. Where is that place again? So the reason Teijima... But he's been here for 30 years! Oh, well, let's go give Teijima his stuff.
Well, I'll be. That's certainly my handwriting. And I guess the Omamorian letter belonged to me too. But I have no memory still. It's clear that I was waiting for some... Over the years, I must have made a note of anything interesting. Anything that I could share with her. And just look at all the things that did happen over the years. How could I have forgotten something so important to me? Love, regret, everything I felt for her. No. After all, I've forgotten who she was. Her face, her voice. It's as if she'd never been in my life to begin with. As if all the... I think... maybe not. If this is something I... Although, what if she were to turn up eventually? Only when I think about it like that. How curious. Why am I thinking like this when I don't even remember? I shall remain.
Teijima seems to be dealing okay, but still, seems it's just like Ayaka and Toma were saying. If you lose your vision, that certainly explains the state. At least we were able to help. According to Miss Kamisato, they say the Khaenri'ah Commission is directly controlled by the Shogun. They're the ones responsible for maintaining law. But why would they take action against one of their... Paimon doesn't get it. Huh? There seems to be some commotion over there. Let's go see what's happening.
I'll ask one more time. Do you intend to withhold this money?
The entire clan is counting on that food. How many times do I have to say it? I don't know anything about...
You dare deceive us? Those provisions are essential. Do you understand?
You samurai think you can just do whatever you please? The Khaenri'ah Commission will hear of this!
Oh, huh? And who are you?
What? We heard the commotion and came to see what...
I see. You seem to have come just at the right time. Perhaps you... This is Kurosawa. He's a samurai and a member of the Shogun's army. They issue emergency provisions to the... In the past, we'd simply ask him for provisions and everything would be delivered. Now, he's keeping the provisions for himself. I just know it.
No one seems to care about us. We used to think Kurosawa was a kind man, but he's shown his true colors. It's no wonder all the visions have been confiscated. The Raiden Shogun doesn't need people like him.
This must be one of the people Ayaka asked us to help. But why would... Maybe we should talk to Kurosawa.
I've never even heard of these emergency provisions. I don't know whether it's rumors or whether they're trying to blackmail me. But my own family can barely get by as it is. Now, if you'll excuse me, That's the first bit of truth I've heard all day. The Shogun's army told me that I was unworthy of my vision. And they said I was slacking off in my work.
Well, that's strange. You were helping enforce the vision hunt.
To be perfectly honest, all I know is that I would perform certain things every month. But I don't recall, and it's not just that.
Does it have to do with the missing emergency?
I didn't take any. Like I said, if I was taking them to top it all off, my house was just raided by treasure hoarders. If you don't believe me, go find the treasure hoarders yourself.
But we better confirm. Let's go round. We should be able to follow their tracks. They could...
We really outdid ourselves this time. All those samurai houses packed with goods.
You haven't seen anything yet. Today's just the beginning. I'll be leading you... You demand, but...
These seem like the treasure hoarders we're after.
Lightning flash!
Another test subject.
One with nature. There goes all the Mora. We worked hard to steal that, you know? Come on, boss. Think of something.
Not bad, kid. You ever think of joining the treasure hoarders? Kurosawa. So he's the one who sent you after us, huh? Just our luck.
So what did you see inside?
Food supplies. You kidding? That place was a complete mess. All we found was a strange look. I didn't want anyone else to see it, But now that you've caught us, how about we make a deal? That little box for...
You've got a deal! Now show us what's in the box!
Huh?
What the... There's nothing...
Yeah, and they all seem to be made out to the owner of a general good. We better talk to this Miss Aoi and get to the bottom. As for you guys, you're free to go. Just pray that
Yeah, so we redeemed ourselves for some IOUs.
Shut it.
Welcome to Tsukumomono Grocery. Or perhaps there's some... so you're friends of Kurosawa, I take it?
Whoa! Let's not get ahead of ourselves. How did Kurosawa end up owing you so much money?
Let me think. Kurosawa would come regularly to purchase large quantities of foodstuffs. However, the price of provisions began to skyrocket recently, and his salary was no longer enough to cover the cost. So
that's how he was getting those But why did he have to purchase a usual amount? If the prices increased...
Well, if you think about it, the citizens receiving the emergency provisions must have been carefully... Kurosawa thought that it would be quite the disappointment for them if they found they didn't have enough. So he deemed it necessary to take on the debt.
Wow. Kurosawa was purchasing all the and no one ever appreciated...
People's attitudes will always reflect their circumstances. If you ask me, had Kurosawa told everyone the truth about the supplies, of course, I'm sure there would still have been some unrest. What he was doing was truly a thankless deed. As for why he chose to spend his own money on emergency provisions and never if you're still curious, why don't you go ask him yourself? I see. That most unfortunate. If he doesn't clear the debt on his name, he'll have no choice but to sell that sword? Oh, didn't he tell you? I've asked him about its origins. He told me that it was a gift from his father. In hindsight, I regret that I never made an offer on it. Everything had. Why don't you ask him about the sword yourself? Oh, but before you go, if.
But we didn't.
Information is all. Don't worry. I won't charge much for information about Kurosawa.
At least we now know where the emergency provisions are coming from. Let's go talk to Kurosawa. What are you doing here all by...
I presented them with a choice. Either they left or I drew my sword. It turned out to be a real time saver, actually. Perhaps I should... Did you manage to track down the treasure hoarders?
That just about sums it up. It turns out that you really were just...
Strange. I don't really have any such recollection. Why was I purchasing emergency provisions for everyone? And why would I put myself in such a difficult situation? But I could not deny that when I brandished my sword to scare those two away, I could sense that my body was somehow... This sword was once wielded by my... I remember once when I was young, I wanted to sneak out with the blade and show it off to the kids next door. What did he say? It would seem that I forgot many important things when my vision was taken. All I can remember now is my father telling me that this blade bore his life and said to me,
Hey, if you look carefully, there seems to be... Can you recognize the words?
virtue? And somehow those two words seem to taking on seemingly endless debts to make others happy. I guess that must have... But what use are virtue and justice? I purchased the provisions for those in need. The Khaenri'ah Commission seized my vision, and the very people I was so desperately trying. And the irony of all of it is, I somehow still felt I'm incapable of being a good person, yet I'm equally unable to be.
Yet another... When we get the chance, let's speak to Toma about Kurosawa's debt. The Yashi... In any case, we must never let him sell off that sword. Yeah, seems like, fortunately for us, you don't have a Let's go find the next poor soul. The third person who had their vision taken is supposed to... Paimon heard that he's the present-day master of Meikyo. This is his dojo. Luckily, there's some people around.
Nanako, don't worry. Sensei will be fine. Those thugs that challenged the dojo were strong, but he fought them all off in the end, didn't he?
Maybe, but things have gotten dangerous before in the past, but it's never shaken.
It's just because he's been possessed, that's all. Once the exorcism has taken place, he'll be right...
Hey there!
Who are you? I don't care whether you're trespassers or just here to harass us while Sensei is impaired. Don't make me draw my blade, or you won't live...
No! You got it so wrong! We just came here to...
Disciples?
Yep. We've heard all about the mighty master of Meikyo Shisui art. It's the whole reason we came on, but then we got here and overheard you talking about how he got put...
From the way you're dressed, it doesn't... Please, accept my apologies. We've had so many people trying to cause... You haven't arrived at the best of times, I'm afraid. Sensei got possessed recently, and he's still recovering. He's not able to take on any new disciple. I see you are earnest in your pursuit. Okay, how about this? My fellow disciple Nanako, Sensei's name is Domon. A name I'm sure you've... Though self-taught, he mastered the art of the sword to a high level. He then proceeded... He once said that his goal was to become the best swordman. And so, even while training us, he continued to hone his own art. But then...
Not long ago, Sensei had his vision. He says the strangest things over. Junya and I have discussed it, and we both think that he's being possessed by an evil spirit. So, but if I'm honest, I still have...
The Grand Narukami Shrine.
You haven't heard of it? It's the largest shrine on Narukami Island. The head shrine maiden is reputed to have very close ties with the almighty Not that we'd have any means of involving the head shrine maiden, of course. So don't worry, Nanako. The exorcism will take place this evening. You're both more...
So, losing your vision can cause possession? Guess we should come back...
Shh. So you decided to come. It's a good thing you didn't arrive any earlier. You would have had to witness Sensei one of his fists just now, when Nanako was attending to him. She heard him whispering a few names to him. When she asked him who the people were, it looked like he was in great distress. He was covering his ears and looking frantically around him, all the while he kept calling those names. Some of them we knew. Others we didn't recognize. One of them was Anzai. He used to be a fellow disciple of Sensei's. His senior, in fact. But Sensei wouldn't stop calling his name. Thankfully, the shrine maidens managed to... The ritual has now begun. All we can do is patiently await the result. Please, excuse me for a moment while I fetch some water. If he wakes up, he...
Huh? Who's that sneaking around? We won't let them get away with it! Seems they aren't here. Should we keep going further up? Is this definitely the right place? Let's look a little further up. Aha! Suspicious person sighted!
How did you... Are you sure you're Domon's disciples? You move even quick, unless... I guess it's been a few years.
Excuse me? We're the ones asked, and what are you doing sneaking around these parts?
Bad news? I'll have you know I trained side by side with Domon back in the day. I don't care to talk about that time anymore. But if you must know...
His senior?
Anzai? Yes, that because I don't wish to see Domon or anyone else associated with him ever again. When we were young, we trained under the same swordmaster. I had begun training 5 years before him, and everyone looked up to me. Practitioners of Make-Yoshi Sui art seek to achieve stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. But Domon was different. The first thing he did when he joined was go straight to our sensei and ask him, with a beaming smile on his face, how to become the best in the... Sensei scolded him and told him that the art of the sword should not be used for such vain ends. Sensei said that coveting the title of the best swordmaster, barely days into his training, showed that he had a fickle mind. I thought so too at the time. But Domon began making... Only then did I realize that it was Domon who had long since... He was consumed by his singular desire to become the best in the world. He sought nothing...
Sure sounds like he meant business.
Because until he arrived, I was convinced that I would succeed our sensei as the master. Of all the disciples, I was the most gifted. I had trained the longest. Domon's arrival changed everything. When we sparred, I lost not just the match, but my pride and my status too. I fled. Later, I heard that he sparred with Sensei too. Sensei was advanced in years by then, and unfortunately that match used up every... After that I wanted nothing further to do with him. Deep down though, I still respected his match. So, when I heard rumors that he had lost his mind, my first reaction was to dismiss them as I decided to quietly come and see if it were true. Then, to my complete astonishment, I heard him called. So you see, I came here not to cause him any harm. Okay, you've heard my story. You should get back now.
Seems like we got it wrong this time. Still, Paimon's not sure we should bring him back with...
What? You're saying he isn't? Does that mean he's just lost his mind? But how is that possible?
Nanako, please. Try not to get agitated.
I am sorry. With what powers I have, I can find no sign of any... But spirits may take a myriad of forms in this world, many of which I cannot claim to have witnessed. And all is certainly not lost. For I received word not long ago that Lady Yai is taking...
Lady Yai? Is that the same...
The head shrine maiden of the Grand Narukami Shrine?
Correct. Lady Yai is most knowledgeable indeed, and has abundant I am unable to say for certain whether an evil spirit has possessed your sensei.
Excuse me, Miss Inagi, but I must ask...
That won't be necessary. All that is required of you is your timely arrival at the Grand Narukami Shrine. I must leave now, but we will meet soon at the shrine. I wish...
Who'd have thought Lady Yai herself would have taken notice of our...
Do you mean to say that Sensei isn't renowned enough to deserve...
No, that's not what I meant at all. I just mean this is Lady Yai, the head shrine maiden. She has direct and close contact... Anyway, you should join us given that you've traveled all this way just to meet our sensei.
Sure! After all, everyone seems pretty excited. Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to find out a thing or... Surely that child isn't flocking off. Protection of the electro armor. May the blossoms of the sacred Do you think that's Lady Yai? Oh, no wonder Junyo is so Also, is it just Paimon? Or did she look right at us just now? It was probably nothing.
Keep away. Keep away from me. I gave up the art of the sword. Please, let me go.
As you can see, Lady Yai, Domon has persisted in this state for some time now. He appears to see those who have lost to him in duels past.
Lady Yai, it must be a possession. This is nothing like him at all. In the past, no matter what came...
I'm sorry. It is clear to me that your sensei is not possessed by any
But... then did...
Yes. This is a change in the person himself. Unable to cope with the tremendous pressure he was under, he suffered a spiritual collapse. With his wits impaired, he finds as one who is thrown into the sea, though he fights back desperately against his predicament. It does nothing to prevent his descent into the depths. As for what has triggered this change, I believe it must be the loss of his vision. For to be stripped of one's vision is to be stripped of one's ambition.
Stripped of his ambition? But Lady Yai, even without his ambition, why should he...
Your school practices Meikyo Shisui, stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. What a fine notion that would be. There was once one who claimed to be indifferent to rank and reward, and who fled enraged when defeated by his junior. And then there was an aged swordmaster who was aggrieved enough that he crossed blades. Then, what of the one who crossed blades with his own sensei and beloved fellow disciple, and defeated them both?
Lady, I'm not...
The path of the swordmaster is filled with twists and turns. It is no small undertaking to pursue. It requires one to take their sword firmly in both hands and cut down the hopes and dreams. Only a deep commitment to his ambition to become the best made it possible for him to rise. When that ambition disappeared, he began to doubt himself. As he battled his growing... Much like a...
Poor sensei. To think he's been suffering so...
I'm sorry, Father.
That's enough.
Huh? Isn't that odd? Did he follow us the whole way?
Ansai, why are there two of you? Is that you or a ghost? You're here for revenge, aren't you?
You're right to assume that my feelings towards you are far from kindly. It's been so long now that I made peace with it years ago. You did nothing wrong that day. I don't think most of the people you beat along the way would hold it against you. On the contrary, when you cut our ambitions short, we entrusted them. Now I know that we can't place our hopes in you any longer, but that is no reason to strip them of theirs. Follow the way of the sword all the way to the highest peak.
But what if one day, the same thing happens? I put everything I had into trying to become the best. But what if it was all a huge mistake right from the start? If there's a chance they'll end up like me one day, I'd rather they stay.
Have you asked them what they think?
Sensei, after you rescued me from the hands of the pirates, I told myself I would follow. I can't know whether I will suffer in my future. I want to keep going until the day that I can stand before everyone with my head held high and announce that I...
Nanako's far from the only one. Actually...
Goodness.
You see? You can place the being stripped of your ambition is something that's never happened to me, so I can't claim to understand it. But I do know what it feels like to have your ambitions crushed. That's so, just as I once placed my ambitions onto you, you are not in the same position that I was. When I left...
I'm sorry to have made you worry for me, and for the state of Miyakyo Shisuya. I no longer have the resolve to become the best in the world. The emptiness and suffering, but as your sensei, I shall commit to it. This is my promise. And I humbly ask Ansai.
You can count on that. I'd be checking in on you occasionally anyway, but I am now used to the life of a wanderer. I do not belong in the dojo anymore, so well, don't just stand there staring at me.
So even though his ambition was taken away, his disciples can take it.
Traveler, a moment, please.
So, my intuition was correct. The wind that blows from afar carries fresh life. For us to meet now is premature. Nevertheless, you set foot on these islands at precisely the right moment. I have high hopes for you, child.
Ooh, Lady Ai seems to have taken a real interest in you. She seems super mysterious. Paimon's so curious. We can come back. Guess who fulfilled all your wishes? Huh? Ayaka! Huh?
Huh?
Traveler, Paimon, it is a pleasure to finally meet you both face to face. I have heard all about how you helped our three friends, My sincerest thanks to you.
Yeah. Short of Ayaka, how come...
Because now that you have done the 3 things I asked of you, I consider you to be my friends. As you will observe, I dispense with the screen for Toma also.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a second. But isn't Toma your, servant?
Oh. Paimon, you are most entertaining. Toma is first and foremost my friend.
Oh, okay then. Ayaka, you seem pretty different out in the open compared to how you are behind the...
Think back to the matter at hand. You have now witnessed the pain of those deprived of their visions. Perhaps in the eyes of a deity such as the almighty Shogun, thunders roar, lightnings flash, the winds assault, and the rains descent. All these things take place, but I believe that surely you understand what they must endure. It seems that perhaps now you can appreciate my feelings on all of this. In which case, perhaps you would be You will? Really? Naturally.
All right, bravo, my lady. You were right.
See? I told you he wouldn't reject them. Now then, given that the remainder of our discussion pertains to matters of a more confidential nature,
Well, here we are again.
Please continue without me. I'll keep watch.
So, what's the deal with this place anyway?
this is land that was gifted to the Yashiro Commission by the Shogun. The Kamisato clan has the exclusive right to plan, build, and repair any property on this land. And even to allow or such privileges exist due to the Yashiro Commission's role in managing ceremonial affairs.
Oh, Paimon gets it. Gotta keep a bit of...
Once the number of ceremonial affairs conducted in the city began to decline, our forebears built a tea house here. Only members of the Yashiro Commission are permitted to...
Makes sense. Perfect place for a...
In any case, we can talk freely here. The almighty Shogun. I've seen her on but only a few... She inspires awe, commands respect, and exudes a sense of absolute authority. But as I recall, it was her almost complete lack of any emotion. In that sense, she appeared to me to be less of a ruler and more of, well, an executive. The issue is this. For the vast majority of people, after all, it is but a tiny minority of people who receive visions. Moreover, it is because of this, the attitude of most people towards the vision.
How can they be like...
Nevertheless, in addition to us, there is also the
Resistance? You mean like an army fight?
Yes. Many who have lost or fear losing their visions have rallied together to say a little more about Sangonomiya. Historically, there has always been some conflict between, but I do wonder whether there may be some other agenda behind their resistance. Of course, we have tried on numerous occasions. Unfortunately, each time a proposal to repeal the decree arrives at Tenshukaku, it is promptly vetoed by both the Tenryou Commission. They invariably adopt a stance of unconditional. It almost makes one wonder whether they had a hand in.
Ooh, Paimon!
Oh? What would you...
Have you got a plan yet to fight the Vision Hunt decree?
To be honest, we do not.
What?
Please, do not forget that challenging the Vision Hunt decree is tantamount.
So...
Well, for the moment, all we can do is try and reduce... For example, by providing vision bearers with safe refuge.
You're telling Paimon that there are people...
Don't underestimate the talents of the craftspeople in Hanamizaka. To the naked eye, their counterfeits are indistinguishable from the genuine. The problem we are facing right now is that Master Masakatsu, who is providing us with counterfeit visions.
Darn!
Yes. We knew it was not a long-term solution, and that it was only... Exactly. I feel the same way. But by no means do we intend... When you are ready, go to Hanamizaka and look for a fireworks shop run by the Naganohara family. You want to know who you'll be meeting in Hanamizaka. Let's just say...
Hey, all finished? I've been keeping watch, and